My guest today is someone I've known for a while. My boss, Gayle Hurn, recreation supervisor for the City of Ann Arbor, and the woman who runs both Fuller Park Pool and Mack Indoor Pool. I attended a summer camp at Fuller Pool when I was a lot younger, and she was there even then. Between the two, she oversees the city's only indoor public pool and beloved outdoor 50-meter pool, swim lessons, master swimming, youth swim teams, day camp, lifeguard training, and a staff of people, including me, who she's shaped into better community members. Gail started with Ann Arbor Parks and Recreation as an 18-year-old college freshman, skating around Buhr Park ice rink to make sure visitors were behaving themselves. She worked her way up through part-time roles during college and grad school and eventually landed the full-time position she holds today. She's been at this for a long time, and the pools she runs are better for it. Gail, welcome to the show, and I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You started with the city as an 18-year-old working at an ice rink. Did you ever imagine that it would turn into your future career, or did it just kind of happen?
I definitely did not think that this would be my career. I got hired because my brother actually worked there and he was trying to help me get a job as a freshman in college. I was actually going to school to be a teacher. I wanted to be a kindergarten teacher.
Mm.
And I really loved the opportunity to try recreation as a way to make money through college. And look where I am now.
Yeah, an insane journey. I feel like, yeah, a lot of people think they know what they're gonna do in the future, but life has its ways of revealing itself. And yeah,
Yes.
there's a quote that I read from you in an article that stuck with me. Your own professor warned you early on that because of your tattoos, you never get a job and never be successful. And you said, I think people will give me a chance. What did it mean to you to prove that wrong, especially in a very public facing role like this one?
Yeah, I think for me, I always wanted to remain true to myself
Mhm.
and offer people a space to do the same. That's why I wanted to be a teacher in the first place, is to give students an opportunity to be seen for who they are and honored for who they are. And when I was given a full-time job with the city, tattoos and all, it was a great moment for me, really because it was a representation that what I looked like did not indicate how I would move in the world in a way that would be negative. And so then it really fostered this opportunity for me to give every person space to really be who they are.
Mhm.
And that, I mean, that's actually a gift that that teacher gave me because it really did give me a drive to say, I'm going to do me. I'm going to double down on who I am
Mhm.
and find a way to make that work for me. And yeah, I feel like it has.
And, like, it's not only just, like, a positive impact on yourself and, like, your own, knowing that, you know what, no matter what happens, I'll be who I am. It's also showing other people that they can also be who they are too. So, like, you're actively making other people, like, more positive, and I think that's really beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
These next couple questions are more about the pools. Fuller is a 50-meter outdoor pool that can see hundreds of people on a hot day, and Mac is a 6-lane indoor pool inside a school building. And I believe that they're completely different animals. Which one do you think is harder to manage and why?
It's really interesting. They are two very different animals. And actually, they each have their positive points and they each have their really deep challenges. So at the indoor pool, I find that space is really limiting. So we can only offer so much programming. We can only offer so many hours of swimming. It's less staff, so that makes it a little bit easier to manage. But I think the challenge of how do we serve the community in the deepest way possible with such a limited space really becomes the challenge. And also, it's not as fun to work at an indoor pool as it is to work at an outdoor pool, right? So when I think of Fuller, right, and actually at Mac, I only supervise about 55 people. Now at Fuller, I have 130 staff that I'm supervising, some of which it's their very, very, very first job. So they're 15, and so in a lot of ways teaching, right? That's a lot of my time is spent developing and teaching and coaching. And even though it is open for a much shorter period of time, it is a really big operation to run, but it's a lot more fun because we're outside and there's that factor. And so they both have their challenges, but I would say I really truly deeply love the summertime. I love the Fuller Pool environment. I love the community that we're able to create there. And so if I had to pick a favorite, that would probably be it. But don't tell anybody that works at Mac.
I completely get that. Mac is in the winter, it's a little sad, seasonal blues.
Yes.
But also, it is like I find it very intriguing that you said Fuller because I was there on a day where they filed 3 in-service reports, and I was like, "Wow, this is a really tough pool to manage." There's so much that goes on in one singular day. Have you ever felt, like, overwhelmed?
For sure. I mean, I
Mhm,
think one of the things that I have had to embrace in running Fuller is that I'm going to fail a lot. The staff are
mhm,
going to fail a lot, and that's okay. We can come together and figure out a way to always move forward. And there's something really actually empowering and beautiful about that, even though it can be very stressful. I
mhm,
have found that the team that has formed there and what it brings to me as an individual, but also as a leader, it really, yeah, even challenging moments are still full of joy and fight and togetherness and community. And I think if you're going to have to go through tough moments, let them at least be part of that,
mhm.
right? Story.
Yeah, I really remember, like, the one of the first things you told me, either I was interviewing or it was my first training as a swim instructor, you said, "You are gonna fail. It's going to happen. It will happen and you just have to figure out how to move past it." And I feel like that's really empowering, especially like as a teenager in her first job, like shaking in her boots. But yeah, my next question is that these pools serve such a wide range of people, from toddlers in the top pool to master swimmers at 5:30 in the morning to the kids doing swim lessons for the first time. How do you think about serving all of them to the best of your ability at once?
Well, it's interesting. I think one of the things I have really tried to do is figure out what is the access point for people who don't feel like they have
Mhm,
access to the pool environment, right? Our lap swimmers, they're going to come no matter what. And so I don't have to really beg them to come in or drive advertising towards them, but I want to try to offer so much variety that every person and every family and every part of our community can find themselves at the pool. So uh, offering adult lessons, there really are not a lot of adult lessons out there for adult beginner swimmers. And so we started offering that, and that brought in a whole new group of people, which was so exciting. And then from there, we were like, okay, we have adult beginners, but what happens after they finish that? So then we added adult intermediate classes and really sort of like the next step. And we're even still thinking like, okay, so there's this bridge between adult swimmers who want to become lap swimmers, but they don't know how to lap swim. Do we offer, maybe on the horizon is a lap swimming class where you learn the rules of lap swimming and the best way to pace yourself and how to do a workout? We really have focused a lot on serving communities that are typically underserved by
mhm,
aquatics, right? So, like that private lesson for kids who have autism or any neurodivergence, right? Or adults who are really fearful.
mhm,
Water polo for adults that have never done water polo before, and bridging the gap between young people and older people who are trying this sport for the first time. I think we've also incorporated, the swim lessons into our day camp, right? So people see day camp as kind of like childcare, but for me, it's like an opportunity to teach more swimming. And so
mhm,
then, we get them in the pool and teaching them swimming as part of that experience. They might become lifelong swimmers.
mhm,
We also do log rolling as part of camp, which is another way that people connect to the water in
mhm,
especially, in Wisconsin and Minnesota, which is not very far from Michigan, right? Log rolling was a big part of the logging culture in some of those communities. And so just trying to bridge every gap. I mean, I would say that one of the things that I really would love is to try to get more people of color in the pool and in
mhm.
swimming and connected to our programs because I do feel like there is a gap. And so what I'm doing now is trying to unearth ways to bridge that gap, to make that connection, to get people in the door and really get them excited about their possibilities in relationship to aquatics.
I absolutely love that. And when I look back on my own experiences, I've taught people from like age 3 all the way to age 70. And it's like, wow, you're 70 years old and you're still getting up, going to the pool and getting ready to swim and learning something that you've never learned before. And I just found that so inspiring. And currently also I also have 3 consistently returning adults. And there's some of my favorite people to teach because they're so willing to learn. And it is an underserved market. You're so right. But I love how Fuller creates the access point. And following that line, accessibility is a core component of basically everything you do, shown by the ramp in Mack Pool to the affordable pricing and the programs for all ages. How do you think this culture has shaped the community around the pools?
So Fuller used to be known as just a place where college kids would go and lay out and hang out. And it has really changed into a
Hmm.
much more community based pool, right? And our guests are so different now than they were when I first took over 14 years ago. And I think that what happens is when you invite people to the table, they help you build the community that you're searching for, right? You want every
Hmm.
person represented, every person to feel welcome. Accessibility, yeah, it is in the space, but it's also we've evolved our swim lessons and how we even teach front crawl.
Hmm.
And I feel really passionate, as you know, about this very thing. And teaching in a new way that no one has really done before as a foundation has been challenging to get people on board, to get people excited about it. But it has been so important because it has allowed people to learn how to swim that maybe would not have before. And that community building, that has now transferred over to all the other pools. All the other pools are teaching the way we're teaching. They're offering a variety of programming that we maybe don't offer. So they offer some weekday stuff, some things that we don't offer, but I still think we can do more. There are pools in the city that serve communities specifically of color that are closer to them than Fuller is. I would love to see us start a lifeguard academy for kids where we
Hmm.
are teaching kids of color how to swim and then bridging them to being lifeguards and having their first job. Like, because if you look around, there are very few, lifeguards of color, very few. But we are in such a diverse community. And so trying to find those ways, but really encouraging the other pool managers and to be honest, all of our hiring managers to really look at how do we do hiring? How do we reach out to folks that maybe don't see themselves represented in our staff? Because that's a big part of it too, is that kids won't aspire to be lifeguards or swim instructors if they don't see themselves represented in the work staff. And so that's a part of the whole picture as well.
I completely agree. I think that community spaces should be reflecting the community. And I love like how Fuller basically created this exigence for other pools to do the same. I think, yeah, if one person starts something, like other people will start, and then it'll just reverberate throughout the entire community. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. On the line of finding a job, in today's age, it is becoming increasingly difficult to find a job as a teenager, especially since newly graduated college students are competing for the same jobs, as many of them unfortunately can't get hired themselves. Uniquely, you manage a staff that's largely made up of young people. What's your philosophy for leading that age group?
Yeah, I mean, I see employment as a service to the community. I think it's really important for employers to understand like the role that we are playing in developing young people into the adults that we hope they become to help take care of the country, the world,
Mhm.
everything, right? And so it is really a service. And so if you look at it from that standpoint, you see that there is a need to have very young, very new, green staff incorporated in with your more advanced educated staff. And although, yes, it would be easier for me to just hire all college students because they know how to work,
Mhm.
that doesn't make the staff better. It actually doesn't offer a service to our community in the way that I want to see our community grow. You know, just as much as these 15-year-olds are learning from, our 41-year-old, professional musician lifeguard and our college students, those older staff are also learning from young people and building connections and reminding themselves that there is value at every age. I think there are a lot of stereotypes about young people that really
Mhm.
upset me because I
Yeah.
think we as grown people, we often lump them, they're lazy, they are always on their phones, they're this, they're that. But the truth is that they want to be connected. And if you give them the opportunity, they will connect to each other and they bring something really rich and exciting to a workplace.
Yeah, I completely agree. And with the connecting to older people, part of that, one time I walked into work and someone told me, they were like, wow, I just spent like the entire night playing Fortnite with the manager. And I was like, yeah, that's great. There's like a little bit of an age gap between you two, but you guys were still able to connect through video games. And I thought that was really beautiful. And also like when we had a save, during one of the days at the pool, the person who did the save was actually a completely new lifeguard, and she did an amazing job. Like, I feel like there is no reason not to trust new workers, especially since they can be completely capable themselves, even if they are new. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I the only thing I will say about that is that you have to be willing to train
Mhm,
and help foster growth and develop folks
mhm,
and see unlimited potential in everyone, right? That's something that you have to be committed to because that new guard, how empowering for her to make the save, to feel confident about it, like that
mhm.
changed her work experience. And wow, that's amazing, right? And that comes from training and being connected with each other and all these different things that I think are really valuable.
Yeah, and, like, now they know that effort pays off and, if you really wanna do something, you have to put your mind to it, you have to work hard. The next question is a little bit more about the pool. Running a public pool means dealing with everything: theft, weather, parents who wanna bend the rules for their kids, and
Mhm.
people having bad days. What's the hardest part of the job that people on the outside don't see?
Gosh, I think when you, oh my gosh, I'm going to get emotional. When you're really passionate about what you do, and people don't get to experience the positive side of it, that's really hard for me. Like,
Mm,
even though we do all this work to foster a great environment and we do want to keep people safe, when somebody is really unhappy or an employee is really unhappy, that's really hard for me because I
mhm,
pour so much of myself into the space. So that's, I think, the most challenging is not taking it too much to heart because that
mhm,
is it's gonna happen, and I need to
mhm,
be okay with it, you know? I would say the only other thing that I would mention is I think a lot of people don't realize how much I'm responsible for.
mhm,
You know, when I say to people like, "Oh, yeah, I run a pool," they're like, "Oh, yeah, yeah." But, like, I literally do all the training, all the payroll, all the finances, all the maintenance, daily maintenance, all the scheduling, all of the programming, like and it is a lot. It's a lot that I love, but it is a big load, and I think that saying that I run a pool doesn't really
mhm,
necessarily explain that, but and I think that's why I take it so personally, right? So when somebody's
mhm,
unhappy or when somebody treats my staff badly, oh my gosh, that really upsets me. That is
mhm.
actually when people talk poorly to my staff or ignore them or talk down to them. I've had people being openly racist to my staff. That is for me there is nothing that I hate more than that because
Yeah.
these people are here, they're serving their community, they're not making the big bucks. They're young
Mhm.
and they deserve to be treated with respect. And so I would say yeah, that's something I also really don't think people realize like how difficult it is to watch people that you care for get treated poorly.
Yeah, I really think that speaks to your own heart and your empathy and your work ethic, especially since everyone everyone at Fuller, all the staff at Fuller know that you work hard. You do all this stuff plus you have 4 kids on top of that. We're like, "Wow, Gail is really an inspiration because we're just sitting down in the lifeguard hut and we're like, "Wow, how does Gail even do that?" Like, I've had at least 2 conversations that are like, "Wow, she does so much," and we're like, "Yeah, she does so much," and we're just so grateful. Like, I feel like you're not only just, like, a manager to us, you're also a leader and also an inspiration, especially for, like, the younger people who I mean, it's their first exposure to a workplace, and it's like, I didn't know that so much could go into the local community pool, and now they're realizing the systems behind, like, a singular simple thing, like, they expand so far. The network is just insane, and now you see things differently. Now you have a completely different perspective on those things. So, yeah, I'm just really, really impressed. And now for my final question, which is a little bit more of a fun question. Do
Okay.
you ever wanna jump into the pool after a long day?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Although I have to tell you, the older I get, the more adverse I am to like jumping in the pool. I'm like,
Yeah.
because, I getting wet. You as a swim instructor, I know you know this feeling. It's like,
Yeah.
it's going to be fine once you're in, but that moment right
Mhm.
before.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I love a good jump in. And honestly, I need to do it more. Let's be frank. I need to jump in the pool more. So next time you see me, remind me that I said that.
I'll be like, "Gayle, it's time. We're gonna all jump in together." But
I
yeah, the
think
one
we
of the
should. I think
yeah,
we should.
one of the worst feelings is like, "Oh, I'm completely dry, but it's time to go back in." But then like 2 minutes later, you're like, "This is great. Like we're fine. We're okay." Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. That brings us to the end of this Under the Canopy episode. If you found value in this episode and want to hear more, kindly subscribe or follow and leave a review. Hope to see you soon on next week's episode.